There are some pretty amazing feats in the world of gaming, and there's always someone trying to outdo them. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 gaming records that took years to break. In 1998, a gamer by the name of Thomas Pilger set a record on the first level of Doom. He beat it in 9 seconds. And if you've ever watched a 9-second run of the hangar level, level 1 of the very first Doom, it's pretty amazing. 9 seconds is wild. It's not shocking that this record stood for 2 decades, not in the least. So it's perhaps quite fitting that the user handle of the person who beat the record is named 4ShockBlast, because it basically is a shockwave. That's the kind of record you assume is just never going to be beat, because you're talking about a record that absolutely will not clock unless you get it down to literally a specific amount of frames rendered. And in order for these runs to qualify, they have to be on ultra-violent speed and ultra-violence difficulty, so you have to remember that you're dealing with something that is fairly variable in how it plays out. It took over 50,000 attempts at this level over the course of a year to beat this record, and frankly it's amazing that 4ShockBlast did it. A number of other people have gotten the 9-second record, but currently he's the only person who has beat this level in 8 seconds. Number 9, portal records are pretty constantly updating, but in the out of bounds category, there are very small increments as to how the records get beaten. And often we see years pass between larger increments of more than a few seconds. Most recently, user can't even beat the best record by 9 seconds. Then 3 months later, they beat their own record by 5 seconds, and then a couple days ago, by another second. 7 minutes, 6 seconds, and 48 milliseconds is the record now. So out of bounds runs are actually when you sort of ignore the game's geometry, and watching their run is mind-bending. It's hard to understand what's even going on. It's such a clear exercise in muscle memory, so the amount of times he's attempted this run has got to be very high. And when he beat the portal record at 7:07, he was still saying he could shave another 2 seconds off, which he shaved a second. Can he do the other second? And considering about a year ago the record was 7 minutes and 46 seconds, and that his record now stands at 7 minutes and 6 seconds and some change for the entire game out of bounds, that's pretty wild. Number 8, back in July of last year, a speedrunner by the name of Drozdowski managed to beat the previous Super Mario 64 record, which had been held for 2 years. That record stood at 6 minutes, 44 seconds and some change. Previously, the record was held by Akira, and it is a popular game to speedrun. And it's a game that's full of glitches and tricks that allow you to bypass large sections of the game, as well as manipulate the mechanics to do things that were not intended in the least. And the abundance of these things is why a game from 1996 is still a popular speedrun, but some of these records, when they stand for a couple years, you assume this is it, this is probably going to be the record. And when you see somebody like Drozdowski come in and get a 6:41.76, which is a full 3 seconds below Akira's speedrun, which had been the record holder for literally 2 years prior, it's very impressive. Number 7, way back in September of 2002, a player by the name of Brian B set a record for GoldenEye's dam level of 53 seconds. Since then, around 126 people have tied that record, and a lot of people believed it wasn't possible to beat, that 53 seconds was as absolutely low as it was ever going to go. And in a lot of respects, this record turned out to be a lot like the previous Doom record we talked about, until an Australian speedrunner by the name of Carl Jobst managed to clock in at 52 seconds back in 2017. Now that's 15 years that record stood. That record predated YouTube. It predated a lot of electronic communication that we find normal now. And it's amazing that people even try after that amount of time, let alone that people actually beat it. Number 6, Super Smash Bros. Has a lot of different modes, but Super Smash Bros. Melee's Break the Targets mode was the subject of a 14-year-old record that was broke back in 2018. Break the Targets is a mode where you, in a certain amount of time, have to break 10 targets. It's a very simple mode, it doesn't take a lot of explanation, you probably understand it right now. There are various records set for this mode based on who plays which character. For instance, there's a Luigi record, there's a Mr. Game & Watch record, etc. And the Link record stood for 14 years, which was set in 2004, by a player by the name of Taka. Last year, a user by the name of SaveState, real name Joseph L. Corey, beat that record by 0.03 seconds, and also had this amazing celebration after winning because A, that's going to be a record that's hard to beat just overall, and B, it's like almost impossible to track exactly what happens during the course of one of these runs. Like, just watching something for 3.52 seconds is not really comprehensible to somebody who doesn't know exactly what's happening. Still quite amazing though. Number 5, there are a lot of different types of Mario 64 records. Like I said, people aren't just playing this game from 1996 for records for no reason. There's a lot of ground to be covered, but one of the sort of holy grails of the game is getting all 120 stars in under an hour and 40 minutes. A player by the name of Cheese05, real name Alan Alvarez, spent months doing just that. He started pecking away at the record in 2015, and by 2017 was really knocking out 1 hour, 40 minutes, and 5 seconds type times. And he spent so much time working on this that some people even got to the point of trolling him. For instance, his chat was spamming the text-to-speech to try to distract him or otherwise mess him up. But that did not deter him, and in May of 2017, he got all 120 stars in an hour and 39 minutes and 57 seconds, which is not just under, but under by a few seconds. Nobody had even gotten, let's say, just under. He did it with a couple seconds to spare, and if you know anything about speedrunning, that can mean a lot. A lot of time, a lot of effort, and congratulations to him. Number 4, Mario has kind of a speedrunning tradition, and although people work to break the records on a constant basis, Super Mario Bros. Is a game that has been played since the 80s, and speedrunners have glitched since the 80s. In fact, people are still discovering glitches that they can use, and it was a series of new glitches that Cosmic D12 used to beat the previous record, which was made 2 years prior. The previous record was a 4-minute and 56-second run, which most had thought was utterly impossible. Cosmic D12, however, beat it literally by milliseconds, currently holding the Super Mario Bros. Record of 4 minutes, 55 seconds, and 913 milliseconds. Number 3, in The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, an 18-minute and 10-second any percent run is actually pretty impressive. An any percent run, of course, means it doesn't matter how much of the game you complete, and employing any glitch you can is a perfectly valid prospect. A player by the name of Narcissa Wright actually managed that specific run, and a lot of experiments have been performed in the ensuing years to get us to the current record. You might even think to yourself that the record set a year ago, 17 minutes and 7 seconds, by Skater 82297 was the definitive one, but just a few days ago, a Norwegian player by the name of Torjay got it down to 17 minutes and 1 second, which is actually a pretty astounding, massive jump from the 18 minutes and 10 seconds we discussed at the beginning of this one. And there's no reason to believe that's going to stop either. This is a highly competitive space that people are constantly trying to beat this record. The fact that a new one happened just a few days ago is evidence of that. Number 2, in 2012, a man by the name of Dave Race cleared a perfect game of PacMan in 3 hours, 33 minutes, and 12.69 seconds, which beat his own record that he had set 3 years prior, which was 55 seconds longer. And let's just go ahead and say, a perfect game of PacMan is, that's a lot of work. That's every dot. When you do a perfect game of PacMan, you get a score of 3,333,360 points, and you have to do it on an original PacMan arcade cabinet. I don't even know how to do a perfect game of PacMan, let alone a fast one. Not that 3 hours is particularly fast, but relatively speaking. And finally, number 1, this isn't the same kind of record, but a pretty astounding one nonetheless. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, the largest LAN party had over 13,000 computers hooked into a 120 gigabytes per second connection at a 2011 event. It took place in Sweden, and it had specifically 13,010 unique devices with 21,000 participants. I don't know if this was exactly the previous record. However, in 2009, an event that had 300 computers took the world record then. Now, if it had been broken between 2009 and 2011, it most likely was totally shattered in 2011, as the 13,000 computer LAN is absurd. The 300 computer LAN, the 2009 event, actually still has the record for longest LAN party, however, going continuously without interruption for 40 hours. And a quick bonus for you, a gentleman played Qbert to beat the single coin record, meaning you put a coin in and play for as long as you can to get the highest score possible, and a gentleman by the name of George Lutz played the game for 84 hours and 50 minutes, amassing a score of 37,163,080 points. The record he beat had been standing for 30 years. Could you even do the marathon gameplay sessions? I sure couldn't. 80 hours? Sorry, no. What are some amazing feats you've pulled off in a game, though? Leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and if you like this video, please click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification bell. As always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter, Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time, right here on GameRanx.